All right, I'm here to talk about the controversial and reviled Martyrs. It's a 2008 horror flick, French film, kind of like the part of the new age of French horror, which is a lot more bold, I guess, than a lot of American horror. I've only seen a couple of these newer French horror films. There's like High Tension, uh, Inside, which I thought was actually pretty fun, and then this, which it's not so fun. This movie I heard about from Rambo Raff, who he just when he wants to pick on a movie that he hates on, he pretty much goes to this. It's about this girl. She's being tortured somewhere when she's a little kid. She escapes, and then she's like in like this like I don't know orphanage slash like hospital, or I don't know. She makes a friend there, and then cut forward to 15 years later. This girl's grown up now, and she wants revenge on the family that was keeping her imprisoned in like this fucking like factory or something and torturing her. And so after this opening, then you get this, you see this family. They seem like a normal family. They're sitting there. The girl shows up at their door, rings the bell, comes in, and fucking blows them all away in way over the top violence. And then things start to go really, really bad from there, even. And I don't want to, I don't think I want to give too much away. Let's say her friend that she makes in the hospital comes to help her clean up the mess, and then things get worse, and there's some twists and stuff. And I have to admit, I'm not opposed to this type of stuff. I people call it torture porn, whatever. I think there's a place for torture in horror. It's not the most entertaining thing ever, but and there's different ways to get scares, but there's something scary about being tortured, and and about like a lot of things that happen in this. There's something scary about it. You might not agree, it may not be your cup of tea, but I think there's a place for it. I just think with this film, there comes a point where there is a such thing as there's too much. Uh, I appreciate having the guts to go for it and being ultra violent, but how much is too much? You know what I mean? When you have, and there is like an extended sequence in this, probably about 20 minutes long, give or take, right? Maybe a little longer, a little shorter, where a girl is just being brutalized and tortured and beaten and humiliated, and that's pretty much all you're seeing. It's like, at what point is that? At what point are we crossing the line here? And not just crossing the line, because you'll see as shit as fucked up as this in a lot of movies. You'll see something as fucked up as this, as in like a hostel. The problem here is when you go on that long with it, it kind of loses its effectiveness. It's losing its effect that it's going to have on you, and so you're just kind of like being beat over the head with it after a while. It loses some of its effectiveness. It loses some of its punch, and it just becomes just kind of like sitting through unpleasantness, which is a lot of what this movie is. That said, I don't hate it nearly as much as Rambo Raff does. I could see where he's coming from, but I thought there was stuff there. I did appreciate some of the violence. I did appreciate that it was willing to go as far as it did. Um, and there was something intriguing to it. I don't want to give too much away, but there's some twists. and you find out why these people were torturing this girl as a kid. Okay, there's a lot more to it. What I don't really want to give away, but I like the twist. And then once that twist comes in, right around that part where that twist comes, is where there's a section in the middle of this movie I kind of liked. Um, Especially at one point when they're in this house of this seemingly normal family and they find a dungeon and there's someone that's down there, and absolutely creepy, 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 creepy. That's all I'll say. But then there's a twist, and it got me more interested in the film. I don't want to say what it is, but I thought it gained a little something once this happened. It was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But that's kind of ruined when following the twist. There's an excessive, totally unnecessary amount of violence, and that goes on just too long. It just goes on too long. Um, but there's something there, like something intriguing that happens in the twist that I liked. The performances are generally okay, even though it's a lot of crying. The girls give really good performances. They're pretty before they're totally brutalized. Um, the ending I thought was actually pretty cool. Without giving anything away, I actually was like, man, I really want to know what she whispered. There's a scene where someone whispers to someone else. You're like, man, I really want to know what she whispered, like what she said. Um, there's a certain amount of artistry to what's going on. The writer and director of this is Pascal Laugier, who he did a movie called The Brotherhood of the Wolf. He's done a couple flicks. He really went crazy with this one. It is, I think it has cult status, and I think it does because of its violence. But I also think it's its violence that brings down what actually is somewhat of a better movie. I think if you cut a little bit from this and just tame it and pull it back a little bit, just a little bit even, and shorten some of the brutality, you could leave it as shocking, I guess, if you want, but does it really need to go on so long and lose its impact? And does it really always have to be so unpleasant? Yeah, just give me a little bit more of something to like about the characters early on, stuff like that. It's I expected it to be utter garbage, and I thought, like I said, I think there's something there once you find out what's been going on with this family and in this house, and why they might have been, torturing this little girl when she was a kid. I it's not the greatest premise ever once you figure everything out, but it's something different that I haven't seen before. So I don't know. There's a certain amount of quality to the film. There's an intriguing premise once it's revealed. Um, good cast generally, but just kind of dark and ugly and unpleasant, and just too much of it goes on too long. Um, I'm really like, I don't know which way to go with it, but I kind of lean towards right in the middle, and that's to say, like, it could have been more. Actually, I think it could have been better filmed than what it is. They're working on a remake, which I'm sure Rambo Raff is pleased to hear. Uh, for the director of The Last Exorcism, which I really liked, and written by Mark Smith, who wrote Vacancy, which I either didn't see or don't remember. You know what? I think I did see it, and I don't think I liked it. And the producers of Twilight. Wow. And they were saying, too, that they might like Kristen Stewart in the role, which I think would be interesting, if I'm being honest. But, I mean, overall, I don't hate the movie. I caution if you're not into violent films. Like, you'll see some crazy stuff. You'll see someone skinned alive in this. But otherwise, it's enough of a curiosity. If you're a genre fan and you're curious, I think it's worth it for your curiosity. But I still don't think it's a good film. I think it could have been better. I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. No love, but no hate. Sorry, guys. Anyways, thanks for watching. Later.